G'day listeners, David here. Before getting into episode 14, I just wanted to give you a quick update. This episode was recorded late on the evening of the 25th of June, Australian time. About 20 minutes after us finishing this recording, KTM decided to announce its 2021 riders. Obviously, Brad Binder, Miguel Oliveira for the factory KTM team, and Danilo Petrucci for the Tech 3 ride. Before recording this episode, we were only guessing that this was how things were going to roll out. If you haven't figured out yet, Manuel is a bit of a stickler for accuracy. He just wanted you to have the absolute latest and factually correct news. Hence why I'm doing this now. Sometimes even the news cycle catches us out. Enjoy the episode. We enjoyed this one a lot. Welcome to season 2020, episode 14, MotoGP, Tinder edition. We provide you with the very latest in news and facts surrounding the 2021 teams and riders. No clickbait, no rumour, no gossip, just the Pecino facts. This is the Pecino Report. MotoGP news from the people you trust. This is the Pecino Report. I am so glad to have Andrea Easton, Stu McGraw and Manuel Pecino are here with me today to find out everything that's been going on and to help explain the mind-boggling number of new team and rider changes. And most importantly, the results from the resumed season testing. KTM and Aprilia have been on track with MotoGP spec machinery. When was the last time you'd heard that, ladies and gentlemen? Maverick has been on track at Jerez on street machinery. What were the results? What does it mean? Let's introduce the team and begin unpacking this week. Stu, what have you got for me, mate?
Hey, everybody. How are we all doing out there in podcast land? I hope we've had another fantastic week. Yeah, loads of news out of various tests, private tests, circuit track days, that sort of thing this week. Really, really good. We're getting closer and closer to some racing. Been absolutely fantastic. I haven't stopped reading about it all week. It's been so exciting. One thing that really did jump out for me this week is another article about one of our heroes from bygone days. These guys we looked up to when we were a bit younger. They were absolutely fantastic. They were really good racers. Then they disappear, and then all of a sudden they come back and open their mouths with these ridiculously obvious comments. So what I've heard in the last few days is the legend that is Casey Stoner. Absolute legend, good Aussie larrikin, fantastic. Reckons that Rossi will be more beatable the longer he continues in MotoGP.
I could have said that.
Yeah, I was going to say statement of the obvious.
I'll just let you unpack that for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. So that's a massive.
Well, he's speaking the truth, isn't he?
Exactly. It's almost an opposite.
Really,
it's almost an opposite of a Chad Reed.
Yes, it is. So, but I'm sure there was a lot more to it than that. But that headline is that's an absolute cracker. I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, Andrea, welcome
Brilliant.
back, my dear. You've obviously you've obviously heard that one, and even you're chiming in because you can see the futility in that comment.
I know, right? But what I'm wondering is, Stu mentioned that he's been reading a lot, and obviously he hasn't moved too much over the last few days. So, Stu, I was wondering if you could just tell the listeners, explain your outfit this evening to our listeners, and how many days have you been wearing it for?
Yeah, well, no, I think
didn't start that colour.
No, for all the listeners, this is only audio, obviously, but for the rest of the team here, we have the pleasure of being on video and seeing each other. So I think the team should think themselves very, very lucky. I haven't left the house in a few weeks, and so I've actually put clothes on for this session.
They're not clothes.
So they're clean, they're fresh. I'm not exactly wearing my wife's wedding dress. I'm not that desperate, but yes, I am in my pajamas and dressing gown. Everybody, thank you very much.
Wow,
I feel like they're missing out. I really feel like they're missing out.
It's the only way that you can look after the vocal cords, isn't it? They've got to be super duper comfy.
Yep, you've got to keep all the bits warm and cozy.
Pajamas, dressing gown, nice glass of scotch. What else can you want? My life's complete.
Wow.
It's a great figure. Pajama and scotch. That's and I see here that on your screen it's written Pajama Sam.
Pajama Sam is my name this week. That's right.
We've obviously tickled the boss's fancy. How are you, Mr. Pecino? It's been a long time. I actually spoke to you yesterday, and it felt like weeks that we'd spoken to each other. since you've gotten your freedom, none of us can get you and none of us hear from you. You're just gone. You're like the wind.
No. Come on. Maybe
He's
that
in demand.
you have you have to realize that we are started summer. How much? 2 days ago, while you have been entering in winter. So for us, the days are long. The sun comes out. Let's see, around 7:30 in the morning, and goes
2 a.m. in the morning. Yes,
and goes down at 10:30 in the evening.
Oh my God. Manuel, I remember you showing us snow. I feel like it was just the other week when you were showing snow in your backyard.
Yes,
I can see the sunshine. Yeah.
We have been doing our podcast for a time already, eh?
We have.
Now I'm understanding why you need to go to sleep at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Exactly. And I do every single day, and this is like a religion. Because I stand up very early. I sit on my bicycle for 50 minutes, like wanting to win the Tour de France every morning.
Oh, you're doing an Aleix Espargaro, like it's.
More or less.
Is it a stationary bike, or do you actually ride somewhere?
No.
I was do you pedal or do you just sit on it?
I just pedal.
Yeah.
You might have to talk to Sarah Dixon and get some tips and see if you can outrace her.
As you know, I prefer to stay on my own here. Nobody disturbs me, so let me be like I am.
Do you wear lycra?
You know what this sounds like?
Don't send me anybody home. I do it by myself. Thank you.
No, well, it really sounds like you're struggling. You're doing it tough there. It sounds like you could do with a few more cups of coffee.
I didn't get that.
No, you're not getting enough coffee. Can we help Manuel with a few cups of coffee, Dave?
If there's anyone out there who would like to buy Manuel a cup of coffee, I know exactly how they could do that.
Tell me more.
They could go to the show notes, and there's going to be a link there called Pod Hero. And what Pod Hero enables you to do is to give $5 of your hard-earned cash, basically to any podcast that you want. We'd kind of hope that you'd like to give some of that to us to be able to buy Manuel some rehydration fluids. So either a cup of tea.
Or some undies for Stu, because I don't think he's wearing any undies.
Or some undies for me.
Please help us out.
That would be Ball Hero.
We need a GoFundMe page for that one.
Long story short, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to support the show, head over to the show notes, have a look at Pod Hero, quickly sign up. They don't actually charge any fees if you want to uncheck that button. So all the cash can go to the podcasts that you want to support. So we'll leave that there, ladies and gents. You want to support the podcast? You believe what we're doing? You want to hear more? Head on over, have a look.
I want to point the quality of what we do, comparing it with something that I read this week, and probably Stu, who is the man in the social, also did. It was I was surprised by a headline that said something like Ducati discovers the amazing figures of Marc Marquez 5-year contract with Honda. Wow.
5-year contract.
I saw that.
Yeah.
About $20 million or something.
4 years. But then I said, wow. So I went to it and I saw something like, look, what has turned into his headline was Mr. Paolo Ciabatti, Ducati's manager, saying, we could never equal the offer that Honda did to Marc Marquez. Maybe he gets 15, 20 million. We can never get this. Automatically, the journalist put in between, how do you say this? Between
inverted commas. Yeah.
Yes. He suddenly said that Ducati had discovered the real figures of Marquez's contract. That is not serious. Look, that is really
that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Bloody journalists.
Yes, almost all are the same.
Most of them. On a serious note, though, Marc Marquez's contract, how long is that for at the moment?
Well, it's until 21, 22, 2024.
Okay, are a lot of them normally yearly? Or
normally
some are different?
2 years, because the strategy is to give the rider 1 year of relaxing, having a 2-year contract. He has the first year. He doesn't have to think about contracts, so he can focus in riding and
find his way. And
that's why. But there are some managers who doesn't agree with that because they say that riders should race for the contracts every time they get on the track, and that
which is fair.
I think it's an idea. Yeah, it's fair. Yeah.
Just going back to that Ducati article, Manuel. Yeah, I did read that same one with the quotes from Paolo, and I like how there's a large quote there that says Marquez wanted to stay at Honda, and they paid him 20 million per season. And then you go down another 4 or 5 lines, and then it's a little bit smaller. And there's another quote from him that says, basically, yes, we've spoken to them, but the Japanese company Honda secured him with a figure that if it's not 20, it's 15 million a year.
Exactly.
So he doesn't know.
And suddenly, someone to get a lot of clicks on his writes that Ducati discovers the figures of Mark's contract. That's not professional. That's nonsense. That's
clickbait.
And exactly. No one's going to really know, are they? Like, I guess that's all kept pretty quiet.
Long story short, come to the source of the truth, and Mr. Manuel Pecino will put you straight. That's very good segue to a segment that I've wanted to do for a couple of weeks, and it's bringing all the we're not going to deal in rumours or speculation or gossip. What we are going to do is just do a quick roundup. And we're going to do this with a bit of an edge. We're going to do this in reverse team championship order. So we're going to be starting with Avintia Reale, just going quickly through what we know and what we don't know, just to give the listeners a bit of a...
Are we testing the reverse grid concept for the first time here?
There's part of me that still crosses my fingers that we can actually get 2 in on a weekend.
I know.
I know. How good would that be? And Manuel's just shaking his head, going, "No, this is not what Grand Prix is about, boys."
Won't that be like golf then? So that evens the field a little bit.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yep. I say we do it.
Yeah. Manuel's already glazing his eyes over. He wants nothing. He wants nothing to do with this conversation.
He thinks you guys have been smoking my broccoli. Clearly,
no. For me, it's like a ping pong game. The ball comes and goes, ping pong, ping pong.
Well, us talking or just Aussies talking.
So you're not a fan of the reverse grid concept?
No, because it would be very dangerous.
Because the fast ones will knock over the slow ones straight up.
Imagine the slow ones. It would be like a Roman circus, it would be too
maybe
dangerous.
They can give the slower ones a lap first.
Ahead, yeah.
Like they do in track cycling, that you pick 2 points that are equidistant from one another on the track. Someone's down by turn 7, the rest are on the starting grid. And the firing gun goes, and they both start.
I can't even buy into this now, Stu. So let's get back to let's get back to Avintia Reale. What do we know and what don't we know? Take it away, Andrea.
I was just going to say, let's stop this riffraff. We're here for something serious. So I pronounce it Avintia Racing, but I think Manuel's pronunciation was closer to mine than. Would you say?
You are fantastic. Your French isn't that good. The Spanish is okay.
Yeah, see, that's good.
It's Avintia Racing. Avintia is a construction.
Okay.
Yeah, and they build roads, buildings. It's a huge constructor here in Spain. Yes.
So do they join up with Ducati? Is that how these satellite teams work? They
are yes. Ducati is the only team that has 6 bikes on the grid. Okay, they have the factory team. And they have the Pramac team, that is basically the junior team, and then they have another team, okay? And this team, basically, we know that they have 2 riders. One is Tito Rabat, and the other one is Johan Zakko, okay? Tito is a rider who pays for racing, basically. I think that actually
there's hope for you and I, Stu.
Woohoo! Tito was the funniest, most entertaining rider in the virtual.
Well, if you have 700,000 left, you can apply for a ride in Avintia.
Well, if people donate to this hero thing, we can do it, right?
So if we can get €700,000 via Pod Hero, We're in.
That's a lot of coffees, eh? That's a lot of coffee.
Let's buy ourselves a team.
So these two guys are set, right? There's no news there. They're both in their seats.
Look, the interesting thing in Avintia is that Zakko is going to race with good material, very top material, and that is he's on the list for possible riding Ducati in the future. Zakko is a double world champion. He has gone through extremely rare and strange situation last year in MotoGP, but he is a top rider.
Yeah. What was that last year? Because I obviously wasn't watching.
So that's what we basically know about Tito Rabat. Well, I have spoken with Tito. Tito is a very good friend of mine. He's a incredible nice guy. Too nice to be there. And he basically says to me, look, what else can I do in life? I don't know how to do anything. So I'm here still until my father pays.
Fair enough.
I've heard that Tito makes, I don't know if this is true or not. We'll put this one on your to-do list, Manuel. I've heard that Tito makes unbelievably good vodka.
Ooh.
Does he?
Can we? Yeah.
Is that Tito's vodka out of the States?
I don't
know.
know.
I'm not kidding. I'm not joking around. I was listening to. I don't want to give any clues to listeners to listen elsewhere, but there was a John Neil Hodgson comment about Tito making unbelievably good vodka. So
I just want
to see if that's true. We'll put that on your homework list, man. We'll get back to you.
By what you said at the start, that there's no rumours, no gossip, and they're just facts. Are you sure?
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to facts. So, Andrew,
what
have the Avintia guys been doing?
I like that.
What's the next team for next year?
Wait. I have a question. So you mentioned before, Manuel, about Johan, how he had a tough year last year, or something happened last year. What was that?
Yeah, look, Johan has this strange character. His personality, let's say personality, okay? Yep. So he's different from the rest of the people. He went to KTM as the rider who should push KTM up. He was the big contract in KTM, but he just didn't make it because the bike was completely different to the one he was used to. At a certain point, he lost the feeling for racing and he quit, but he just threw away the money. He said, another rider would have sticked on that situation and would have got the contract. Zakko just said, look, I'm not enjoying this anymore and I leave. And he gave away
2019.
That was last year, wasn't it? Yeah, last year.
Last year. Was that 2019? I don't know anymore. Okay.
And this happens I think it was in Austria, and then at the end he rode for Honda. So, but the thing is that Zakko, he's a good rider, but I don't know if he's ready in this super pushing environment mentally in MotoGP. If he has that mental strength.
I guess that'll be quite obvious quite quickly once they're back.
We've asked this before. Is Zakko a killer?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. No, he's not a killer.
Before?
He's a very strange guy. He must have some skills when he's twice world champion. So nobody gives championships for nothing. But I think that his weak is mentally.
Okay.
And so this week he's been in Misano with the Avintia Ducati team doing some testing at the private test. I saw Tito wasn't there, but I have seen over the last few weeks on the socials he's been getting some super motard work in at Circuit Andorra, and he's also been doing a bit of drifting as well.
I saw that,
as you do. Yeah, that was fun. Not? So he's been getting his eye in. But yeah, Zakko had a proper ride on the Avintia Ducati.
And I think Zakko had been before in Barcelona as well, right?
Yes, yeah.
And he's riding one of these fantastic Panigale V4s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the V4.
That bike, I think we would all like to have in our garage.
Yes, please. Yeah, I saw one the other day. I went out for a drive with my son-in-law. He was on a motorbike and I was following in my car, and we stopped to get some lunch, and one of those pulled up next to us. Wow. And we both went, oh.
All right, moving along, because otherwise we'll be here for 50 hours as much as we'd love to. So next team on the list is Tech 3. Now, one
Tech
of
3
these names is
KTM.
Tech 3 KTM, yes.
That's it,
so
yeah.
we've got Iker Lucy. Is that a name we've mentioned before? Is he someone that's not done
Iker
anything?
Lecuona.
Iker.
Iker Lecuona.
I was going to
Has he done anything?
I was going to give you some coaching this afternoon, Andrew, and I went, nah, just going to throw you into the deep end on that one.
Why not?
Now, Iker, just very short, is a Basque name. It's from the Basque land.
okay.
It's only Basque, and he's Basque.
And the Basque.
What does that mean?
He's from a certain region of Spain that they have a super, the Basque, they speak something similar to Irish Gaelic.
No idea.
Really?
Completely nothing to do with the rest of languages in Europe. They are very, very rare.
But they have some super cool names by the sound of it.
Oh, yeah. So has
clearly.
he won things, or is his name was familiar?
Iker Lecuona, he will be a rookie, right? He has been a big surprise. He was a surprise by KTM, and he was chosen in a very interesting way as a rider, because KTM, after failing with Johan Zarco, right? We just spoke about him. After failing Zarco, who was chosen because he had done very well the previous year, this time the Austrians, being square, they
and yes, listeners, Manuel did just make a square with his fingers up the screen.
So they went to the Moto T teams and asked for the data recording.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then they used the data recording and put it in a computer and checked which rider, without knowing from whose data was each.
Just
They
look at the
put it
data
in
and
the
choose the
computer
fastest one.
with the data of the MotoGP bike to see who was the rider who was riding closer to what the bike needed.
Wow,
Yeah, that's
okay.
awesome though, because there seems to be so much or not so much, but some favoritism or this person because they've done this. What an awesome way to pick someone.
Yeah, because
That's
they failed in doing once, and then they said, okay, not again. So they choose somebody that we all were so surprised, but the computer said that it's him.
It's like Tinder for riders.
Yeah.
Yes. Put your specs in and we'll match you to someone who we believe is
Anonymous matchmaking.
Yes.
No, you can't go to Ducati. Yeah.
No, but look, the idea, for example, I can imagine, okay, because you can imagine that if the KTM is a bike that doesn't need fast corner speed, it has it needs somebody who brakes late, turns the bike and opens the gas. So Zarco was just the opposite. Zarco was type of Lorenzo rider, right?
Yeah,
he was type of, so they used him and then realized that they didn't consider the technical part. So they went like a pendulo
hard the other way.
Just the other way. We will see how it works. It's something that interesting to look at.
So, and then I know we haven't spoken about Miguel Oliveira.
Miguel Oliveira.
Because I'm just sitting here, because that's obviously KTM, and then you've got the Red Bull KTM team. So if Pole moves, like we spoke about, would either of these guys go in his spot in the Red Bull team?
Yes, I got information some weeks ago from the manager of team of Tech 3. He was a little upset because KTM had told him that Miguel Oliveira would switch to the factory team.
Hang on, wait, can you say his name again?
Miguel Oliveira.
Yeah, that's nearly what I said. Continue, sorry.
Just call him Michael Olive.
Yeah,
yes. Michael Olive, exactly. But look, I have to say that this may change because when we go to KTM, there will be some news that affects Miguel Oliveira. Okay.
Oh my God, you say it so smoothly, beautifully.
I know it rolls off the tongue for him. I just can't do that.
Like I butchered it with sharp edges.
I'm so glad Manuel is here to put us straight, because every time you say it, I'm just going, no, can't do it.
It just makes the whole podcast that much more classy.
Shall we say it again then?
So yeah, those Tech 3 guys, Andrea. So Oliveira was at Misano this week, and he was right up there in the times, wasn't he, Dave? I believe
he was topped the times for day two off the top of my head.
That's right. Yeah, very well. And Lecuona, I haven't seen him around any private track days or private testing or anything like that, but I have seen on his socials he's getting a lot of bike riding, like bike riding in. And also for the last month, he's been doing lots of super motard work as well. So keeping his eye in.
There we go. All right. So next is Aprilia Racing Team. That one I can say. Thank you. Ooh.
Yeah.
So
the bad boy.
wait. I can say both these names. Wait, let me say Aleix Wait,
I can do this.
In my head it's so clear, and then I can't. It doesn't come out my mouth.
We see that it's very clear.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the listeners can hear it. And I hope no one thinks I'm putting it on, because I promise you I'm not.
In my head is so clear. Imagine if it wasn't.
That's just all day, every day of my life. So, okay.
Beautiful.
So we got Iannone. Did I say that right?
Iannone?
So he's waiting about his, I know he's a big druggo or something, and yeah, you know.
That's about it.
He's smoking broccoli on the back of his bike, yep. So my notes say that he's waiting for his drug appeal in August, and Bradley Smith is going, and I did do some Googling, so Bradley Smith is the current test rider for Aprilia. Amigo. So he's going to step up while he's waiting to hear what happens. My question is, if he gets banned for being a badass druggo, will Bradley stick with that ride, most likely? Or do you think he's going to get off?
Well, there are three options, right? About the appeal. The first option is that Andrea does get the penalty cut. He was penalized for 18 months without being able to practice the sport. If they cut this 18 months, perfect. Then he will join immediately the team.
Does the Rona period count towards his time?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
They're taking of it as time already served.
So he probably started it, so no one else could race while he was off. Sorry, no rumours. Sorry, back to facts.
Then the other option is that he will get full penalized with these 18 months. Okay. In this case, Aprilia has said that they would wait for him. And meanwhile, as you said, Andrea, Bradley Smith would be the second rider in Aprilia. And then the third option that would be very harsh for Iannone is that the appeal court takes in consideration the 4 years, the high sports, how do you say? TAS. TAS is the highest sports
the court, the commission.
Court worldwide considers the 4 years that they ask they want the American drug agency wants for Iannone. They have made an appeal to penalize him with 4 years. So in this case, if this happens, this happens, Aprilia has to look for something completely different.
What was it that what is it that he got caught? Because this will happen before I jumped on this little wagon.
Look. The sentence says that he hasn't taken it straight, that he has been infected by
so he didn't intentionally do this.
Yeah. So
no, it was in food or drink or something.
They say with this stuff, they say that it was a certain meat he ate in Malaysia.
Really?
In Malaysia,
do you believe this?
In a certain restaurant. Even the owner of the restaurant was brought as a testimony in favor of Iannone.
Is this like taking heroin and saying, sorry, officer, I just ate a roll with poppy seeds on it?
But steroid, the effect of the steroids in the performance it was more to being physically cooler.
Yeah, so reduction in body fat, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, something doesn't sound right with that little story, so...
Yeah. But as the sentence itself says that it was an infection and not a taken steroid, and so
he downed the pills with a steak.
Yeah, so very strange. But look,
this will dilute it.
You know that the bicycle racers, the street bicycle, the road, they are constantly with these problems of steroid. For them, it's a huge because it improves your physical performance.
I read Lance's book. I thought, if I wish that when I was on drugs or drunk that I could ride a bike as well as him.
I know, it would have been wonderful, wouldn't it? So Iannone hasn't been riding. What's Paul's brother Aleix been up to, Andrea? Do you know?
Sorry, I was just having a drink.
Sorry. So,
I was reminiscing about my bike riding days. What has he been up to? You tell me, Stu.
He was representing Aprilia at the Misano test along with Smith. He did very well. Looks like day 2 yesterday, he was 4th fastest. So is he better?
Is he better than Paul?
No.
Ooh.
Oh.
No, absolutely not.
That was a very quick answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On to the Stu, has Aprilia tested with the MotoGP bike or street bikes?
Yep, it's with the MotoGP bike.
With MotoGP, yeah.
Wow.
Yep, I'm looking at on Aleix's Insta feed now. He's got some photos of him on the bike.
Yeah.
Aprilia, so they're a standalone team to everyone else. Is that correct?
Yes, they are. Yeah, good way of describing it. Yeah.
Thank you. What's their story? Why are they so far down on the list of winners?
Well, they were taken over a while ago, and their race heritage. I think we spoke about this a few weeks ago. The Aprilia race heritage has really been sort of drained away. And I think Manuel, was it fair to say they're struggling to find their race identity? At the moment?
No.
That was the most polite.
No. It's the opposite. Look, the thing is, if you Google once again, if you Google Aprilia, you will see that they have a record of, 42 world championships or 30, whatever. I don't remember, but a lot of them. So Aprilia is basically a racing brand, or it has been a racing brand. Yep. So,
and I've heard them a lot. So they are. I know that they're. Yeah.
What is true is that they have been bought by a big company, as we have explained. That is the Piaggio Group, and now they have lost some of their identity. But the name is a full racing name. They invented, for example, in the past, they invented these racing bikes for customers. They probably were the first
customer bikes,
the first who made a racing department economically profitable. Selling bikes. Nice. Until then, the racing departments were just a part of but they managed to make money out of it and to pay themselves what they needed.
So they weren't the black holes of cash that we find these days with racing departments.
So they're not necessarily a smaller racing team because, they obviously being on their own where you've got the others with all their satellite teams and that sort of stuff, but they're on par?
No, at this moment, I would say that they are the second smallest team in terms of people behind Suzuki, right? And you have to consider also Aprilia has not their own team. They are they have hired Gresini's place. And this will finish they have a contract until the end of 2021. After that, Aprilia will have their own place, their own team in MotoGP.
Okay.
Nice.
So things will change.
Okay. Yeah. So do you think that'll come with a larger cash investment from the Piaggio group?
Yes, and it will come also with a satellite team.
Ah, nice.
So what, will they have extra teams in
our team?
They will have
12. So there'll be 12 teams in the competition.
Yeah. There will be. Look, Andrea, the idea is that each factory has one factory team and one satellite team. Okay.
So would they have to get rid of one of these other teams, or they'll just add an extra?
They will probably. There is. We just spoke about Avintia, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Avintia is a team that at a certain point will have to move to another brand.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Which makes sense because that's 3.
And now Aprilia factory is in Gresini's team.
Gotcha.
So the idea is when Aprilia has his own, title or whatever, then Gresini would be the satellite team.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if you are good in mathematics, which team No, which brand is Avintia called to be in the future?
Why do you need maths? You want words?
Yeah.
I was ready to...
No, Aprilia, the satellite team of Aprilia will be Gresini. So there is one brand who needs another team, that is Suzuki. Yeah,
Suzuki, of course.
Oh, you said maths. I was trying to count on my fingers and I didn't know what I was counting. So sorry.
That would. Right. They're almost next on the list, aren't they?
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
Have to be
Nearly.
close. KTM first?
They're a couple away. I should have tested you on the order of this list because just for the listeners, we've got the 2019 team results and I'm going from bottom to top. So I really wanted to test Dave because he could only remember the last couple. You should know this, Dave. All right.
That happened more than 14 minutes ago. Dave can't remember.
Nah, like it's not even goldfish level for me at the moment. So.
Okay. So the next on the list, they came 8th last year's Red Bull KTM Factory Racing. That's an easy one to say. Thank you very much, KTM. So we've got pole currently for this year, right?
Yep.
And then Brad,
with the big red circle around him with a question mark.
Yep.
And Brad Binder.
Yeah.
Did I say that
Binder.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can't get a South African wrong.
No. So pole. Adam, my husband, and I were talking about this tonight. About is Pole really going to move? I reckon it's a rumor.
I think. For me, in my opinion, he is already a Honda rider. In my opinion, okay. Things didn't come out. Things didn't come out because I think we have explained here there is a clause that KTM can equal any offer until a certain date, and until this date, KTM can always come and say, okay, I equal, then you have to stay. And this, in my opinion, won't happen because many reasons. One is because KTM has to double what he's paying to Paul in case they want to retain him. This is first. Second, who wants a rider who doesn't want to be in the team? You understand?
Exactly. Yeah.
So imagine for 2 years you basically get a rider who has told you, I want to leave, and you force him to be there 2 years. It's a bad policy.
Could I put a theory to you, Manuel?
Yes.
KTM. I was thinking about this during the week. So KTM is obviously sponsored by Red Bull. So a large amount of the rider's salary is coming from Red Bull. Jumping over to Repsol, a large amount of their money also comes from Red Bull. So it could almost be seen as an internal Red Bull switch. My question is from Red Bull's perspective, if they're not gaining anything from this, why would Red Bull support it?
Support what?
Support the move over to Honda. They've got a Red Bull rider of Pole's caliber. Either way, why would they potentially pay more on a Honda?
No. Look, you have to make a big difference between Red Bull sponsoring teams and Red Bull sponsoring people, riders.
Okay,
right?
Yep.
So the money Pol Espargaro gets from Red Bull is not linked to the team, because Red Bull what looks is the image of the rider. That is separate. They want him for social media and this. It's completely different. Red Bull is on the KTM to appear on TV, and this is completely different, So in this negotiation is nothing to do. What will happen on what is true is that, for example, as far as I know, Red Bull pays KTM 30 million a year to be there.
Yep.
So I can imagine that at a certain point, Red Bull will say, okay, I pay you. We are good friends. We both are Austrians. The two CEOs or president of the both companies are friends, and so on. But at the end, Red Bull invests money to be seen.
Of course, they want return on their money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they need a rider, as we say in Spanish, with face and eyes, somebody to be recognized.
Yeah. In Australia, we'd say,
I want to be at the front of the pack.
In Australia, we'd say no uggos. we're not going to employ ugly riders. They've got to be good looking.
Is he hot? I haven't looked him up. Is he hot or not, Dave?
Yeah, he's a little bit hot.
So it doesn't matter that he hasn't won anything before because he's hot, so he can go and ride for that team. Is that what you're saying?
You are talking about?
Yeah, long story
Paul.
short. Yeah, Paul.
Paul is, but now we are talking about KTM. When we go to Paul, to Honda, we talk about Paul will leave.
Oh, okay. Because his name's there
so
now.
The question is, who is going to be on Paul's bike in 2021?
Yeah.
And now
it's going to be Iker.
And now I have to admit that I have said here that Petrucci was not an option because of his size.
Yes.
Remember?
I remember this very clearly.
Yes.
I was smoking broccoli, wasn't I?
Sometimes it's good, you know. It's therapeutic. How do you say?
Therapeutic.
Therapeutic broccoli. That was therapeutic broccoli. Yes.
Right. So Petrucci.
Yeah, the same way I was told by his manager that he was offered to KTM and they say no. 2-3 days ago, the manager told me that they were very close. They haven't signed anything yet, but things were going in very good direction. So
that's promising.
For me, a big surprise.
So where is he? Where's he now? He's not riding.
Petrucci.
He was at Factory Ducati. That was the spot that Mr. Miller went into. Our Mr. Miller.
Roger. Yep. I get you. Okay.
So, to resume, Andrea, Factory KTM, we will see Brad Binder and a big chance to see alongside Danilo Petrucci.
Cool. Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Next one.
I was waiting for Dave to go. You heard it here, folks. All right. Sorry.
I'll put that in post with an audience applauding.
Oh my god. All right. Team LCR, the Honda Satellite team. I have questions for this one. So both of these riders are up in the air. We've spoke about this the other week. We've got Cal Crutchlow and Taka.
Yes.
Who's followed by Taka's sister.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll just take a small moment of silence and send goodwill to that lady.
Yep. So, I don't know. We've spoken this to death. I don't know, Dave, you're the podcast boss. Manuel,
no, it said it's Manuel. He said, well, has Honda, what I've been hearing over the last week or so that seems to make a lot of sense, but it's still in rumour land, is that Cal could potentially, and there's precedent for it, be offered something outside of MotoGP if it does come to that.
Here I am completely in the hands of the rumors, so I don't know. Look, what I know about this is that Cal has offered himself to KTM.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he has immediately stepped back when he understood how much or how less KTM pays.
Right.
So it was like, here I am.
That statement.
And then, boop, forget it. This means that Cal has not cleared his continuity, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's all news to me as well. I said that one you did hear first on the Pecino report.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So the big question mark, in my opinion, for me, is to know which of these two riders will leave the team in 2021. That's the big question mark.
In your head, which one?
It depends what Honda wants. If they want a strong brand, they should keep Crutchlow.
Yeah.
If what weighs more is the commercial part, like continuing with Idemitsu as a sponsor, the Japanese
because they bring a lot of money, clearly.
All company, and then it will be Taka. So we will see what is more important for them.
Will Cal's passport play anything to do with this? The fact that it's essentially him and Bradley Smith that are the last of the British riders. Will Carmelo Espeleta have anything to say about another British rider on the...
I don't think so because... No, in this case, not. The same way that Zakko is still in MotoGP because Carmelo forced it.
Yeah.
They needed a French, apart from Quartararo. They needed him, and he did everything to have him in Avintia. In the case of Cal, I don't think so. Cal is already how much? 34?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I've not really thought about is, do they have to have representation from all the different areas of the world for people to follow it, or is there sometimes not?
Wherever the money is.
They should, Andrea. They should, because the show should be worldwide. But when you have 10 Spanish riders, and I don't know if you have another 6 Italians. Out of 22, it's 16 out of 22. Then you have.
Yeah. So these guys aren't necessarily the best in the world, then, are they?
Which ones?
The Italians and the Spanish.
Now, because you've got, like you're saying, you've spoken about the Spanish riders and.
No, exactly.
Those guys probably are. The rest, a lot of the other guys, they're coming from areas where, and look, we'd be idiots if we didn't think that there was consideration of where the broadcasting money is, realistically. But they have to consider that,
But they still got to perform. It's not like, oh, yeah, mate, you'll do.
Yeah.
No, but Andrea, I think it's just the opposite. Carmelo would love that there would be just 4 Spaniards, 3 Aussies, 4 Americans or 3 Americans, but at the end, what counts is the stopwatch.
Yeah, they have to be within a certain performance bracket. Okay.
Yep.
All right, who have you got next on your list, Andrea?
I don't know because I put my piece of paper down. Pramac Racing, Ducati satellite team.
Pramac, Miller and Bagnaia.
Yes. What?
No. Oh. We're going we're going to be going off who's on the seat for next year.
Yeah, I couldn't understand what you were saying there. Yeah. I was distracted by Jorge Martin.
Hang on, is it a list or a photo album? What you got there?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. She's been drawing notes over the top of it.
Do you want me to draw a picture of him and show you? I don't know what his face looks like.
And you don't care.
I don't really. And Francesco you said it before, Stu. Help me out. Help a sister out.
Pecco Bagnaia or Bagnaia.
Paco. Oh, that's Paco.
That's
Pecco.
Yeah.
Pecco.
Yeah.
Pecco.
Oh, I was confused. Now I know exactly who you're talking about.
There you go.
So there's no news for these guys because they're just all set, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, there will be Martinez a fix. And Bagnaia, as we have explained, will depend a lot of this year's performance.
Okay, and Jorge's not riding this year, right? Next year's his big.
Not in MotoGP, no. He's still in Moto2.
Yep.
I'll be watching him.
Yep, and he's been getting a lot of dirt bike riding in as well. So he's getting his training in. I'll just put as we're talking now. I'll put a photo up to the.
I saw that one.
Who's that?
Yeah.
I was waiting for it to light up with, said flames around that photo.
That's Jorge Martin putting fuel into his dirt bike on his Insta feed. So that's just some. I
didn't recognize him with his
candy
shirt
for
on.
Andrea.
And I didn't recognize him with his stomach covered.
That needs to be the cover picture for our show this week. There we go.
All right, done deal.
Beautiful.
Who's next, Andrea?
We've got Team Suzuki MotoGP.
Well, in Suzuki, everything is clear, everything is easy, no noise. We will have Rins and Mir, and the only
2 world champions.
The only interesting things is the fight or between them two.
Yeah, who's going to be? Who sees themselves as the number 1 rider within Suzuki?
Stu,
is that a clear thing? Do they say you're number 1, you're number 2, or is it just who's better than the other? Or is it an official you're number 1, you're number 2?
Officially, there is no number 1 or number 2, but unofficially, the one who is first in the championship. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who's got the results? That's it. So, and I still think Rins is in that spot at the moment.
He's has more experience. He has won 2 races, and Mir hasn't even, I don't know if he made a podium last year, but no, he didn't.
I don't think so, no.
So imagine there is still a big gap between them two.
Yeah. 2020 and 21 are going to be really interesting for me in MotoGP with that team, if nothing else, really. I want to see how that dynamic changes with Mir being such a fast study in Moto3 and Moto2 and coming up so quickly. And then coming together with Rins in that team. That's a good couple of years coming up.
Every time I hear that name Mir, it makes me think of the space station that kept messing up.
Exactly.
Peace.
I hope he performs better than that.
Yeah.
Would you say this is his last year to shine, Manuel? Mir?
Last year off?
Would you say this is his last year to do well?
Sean, you said Sean, it's Johan.
To shine, to do well.
To shine. Okay.
Yeah.
No, look, I tell you something that I can't say the name, but people inside the team, they were 100% sure that this year in 2020, if the things that have happened did not happen, it would Mir would overrun Rins. Absolutely. Okay. The team is absolutely convinced about that. Now, without this new situation, we don't know. But everyone says that Mir is much more talented than Rins. That is something important to say because Rins has beaten once Valentino Rossi and another one Marc Marquez. So it's not a bad thing to be better than Alex Rins.
You don't want to mention any names, Manuel, but you're amongst friends here. You're in a safe place. We know that your relationship with David Brivio is rock solid. He respects you. So I think we can safely say that it was David Brivio that said that. So you heard it. You heard it first.
There we go. Putting words in the masters now.
The wind blowing.
Yep, nothing. And I haven't seen either of them on a track on a MotoGP bike. Suzuki has been involved in the Misano test, but that was with Sylvain Ginterli, the test rider. And off track, I've seen Mia around Circuit Andorra on super motards, and I've seen Rins doing some mini bike work as well as some cycling as well. So, actually, at this point, can we just dig in quickly, Manuel, and just explain a little bit about a private test versus an official test, about why some of the teams we're not seeing the racers, the riders on the bikes, why we're seeing test riders on the bikes? To do with concession versus non-concession teams?
Yes. Look, first of all, I want to say that Rins was in Barcelona, I think, testing some weeks ago. And that was a big issue because of taxing.
Right.
Because, look, the taxing, you know that Andorra is a paradise, not a taxing paradise.
Mm-hmm.
So by going to Barcelona to ride, for the taxing, it seems that it was not right if he was working in Spain, because he said, no, I have to go there because my job is to ride and I can only ride in Barcelona. And it seems that the taxing police went behind him.
Really?
Yes. That's why Viñales didn't go. That's why Mir didn't go, because they share the same manager. And their manager said, don't leave Andorra because you may get trouble in Barcelona with the taxing.
So when I saw Rins on the track, there was another bike behind him. So that was the taxation police on the bike behind him.
Did it have a light?
Those boys have got some form. They obviously know how to hunt down their targets.
And Stu, regarding what you asked, look, the concession teams are the teams that have not reached certain results, so they have a special treatment regarding the testing and the development of the bike, right? Mm-hmm. As far as I remember, that is not very... I think that the normal teams, they have 5 test days along the season.
Mm-hmm. So official tests.
Yes, they have to administrate very well these days, and they put it in a very accurate place. So therefore you can see the Aprilias testing with the official riders, so this is something that is very regulated, and it's a little bit complicated. The riders, what they can do is they can ride anytime they want on street bikes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What's a concession team?
Concession teams are the teams that, not having reached good results, they have a special treatment for testing, for using more engines during a season, and I think other type of benefits, which I don't remember now, but basically this. And this, for example, is Aprilia, who has a new engine. They need to be able to test during the season to change stuff,
Yeah. Yep.
So how do they call it? Is it like if you finish 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th? Well, do they, or is it kind of
No. There is, for example, look, I am not very precise in this, but if you do, I think 3 or 4 podiums in a season, you lose the concession.
Okay.
If you do 2 wins, you lose the concession. In fact, in this moment, concessions they are only for KTM and Aprilia.
Yep.
It's basically a leg up clause.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we see those guys at these private tests, these private track days. They've brought out the MotoGP bikes and they've actually got the factory riders on them, and they're able to they're able to do 50, 60 laps at these private testing days. Whereas when you look at the Suzukis and the Hondas that go to these, sometimes they bring the MotoGP bikes, but they have the test rider on the bike. They can't have the actual rider on the bike. Or the rest of the time, if they have the rider riding and testing, as we saw with Vinales, he's on an R1, so he's on a street bike riding. You can't put the factory rider and the factory bike together at a non-official test.
Because they've already proven that they can win. They want to level that playing field. Go for it,
exactly.
Manuel.
Yeah, Manuel.
And Andrea, a way to control how many tests they do, because they could do infinite tests, is they have a certain amount of tires they can use during a whole year. You understand? So Michelin, I don't know, give them 200 tires. So if they want to go testing in the first 3 months of the year and spend and use these 200 tires, then they cannot test again.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, moving on to
who's next?
This is very interesting. I don't even know how to say the first bit. Is it SIC Racing?
The Sepang Racing Team.
Sepang.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are they called?
It'll be SIC, so Sepang International Circuit. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's why I didn't know how to say it.
Petronas team.
Yeah, Petronas. The green and black one.
Yeah, the Petronas team is funny because it's completely open, but basically everything is done. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So actually they have no riders for 2021, but the same way officially I can say that both riders are very close to sign, especially Franco Morbidelli. He wants to renew. And in the case of Valentino, I think we have also spoken in our podcast about the situation that the thing goes around how many people from actual Valentino's team will allow to get in this garage. This is the situation.
We spoke about that. Yep.
Yeah. So there are not many news. Basically, the situation is the same than 1 week ago.
Okay,
yep. Cool. Awesome. Moving on.
So we're down to the team that came third last year. So we've got Yamaha Factory Racing. So we've got Maverick Vinales and Fabio Quartararo. Did I say that right?
Hey. Well, that's fantastic.
You're trying to see what Fabio does.
Your French is clearly improving, Andrea.
Obviously. Clearly.
Stu and I have obviously got some work to do.
Clearly.
God forbid if I ever make it overseas.
The situation in the factory Yamaha team is also fixed. Is the first team that fixed the future, and not much news. The interesting thing, if there is any, is to see who is Quartararo taking to the factory team.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially the crew chief, that is an Italian called Gabarini, and I know that it's a guy that Valentino likes very much. So we will see.
There's going to be some sparks flying there, maybe.
Maybe. We will see. That's the most interesting thing. And regarding this year, it will be also interesting to see the last year of Valentino in a factory team. This would be something incredible. After how many seasons? I don't know. He has all his life been a factory rider. From 2021 in advance, he will be just a satellite rider.
No, he'll be in Moto.
Yeah, he's getting ready for his Moto 2 career.
Exactly. He's got to prepare for it somehow.
It's about team support and helping each other out.
Manuel, you've got to admit, you got Petrucci and KTM wrong. This Valentino and Moto 2 thing is getting stronger by the day.
Yeah, no. My respect for Stu is growing every minute.
I believe they call it begrudging respect. And I just want to finish off for the Yamaha team by saying, Vinales and Quartararo have both been at Paul Ricard circuit on street bikes, R1s, doing lots and lots of laps, both looking very, very fast.
I'm very glad that Maverick's got off of his balcony finally.
Yep.
Is that what the dressing gown is, Stu? I've just put it together. You're channeling Maverick.
I am.
Get a book and hold it upside down.
Go on, Manuel.
Yes, too. You just noticed that Maverick didn't went down to Spain. He went to France.
Yes.
Taxing.
Tax,
And it's funny because they rode in a track that hasn't been used for Grand Prix since ages.
Yeah.
I have been in Paul Ricard, I think, twice or three times, but all the others are riding in tracks that will be used in Grand Prix. Barcelona, Misano.
Yeah, how much preparation are they getting?
I spoke to my chiropractor. I was getting cracked tonight, and because he's an F1 fan, so I was saying, he mentioned other races. I said, "Yep, my mate on the podcast, he's excited because they're starting racing on his birthday," and he started talking about having races for F1 and MotoGP on the same tracks, and I was like, "Do they do that? Isn't it a different type of track?" Well, I had a conversation outside here about this stuff.
Very good. You taught him how the things are.
Damn straight. And he said, "And when's the first MotoGP race again?" And I went, "I should know this." Yeah, but I should have told you that.
19th of July.
Yeah, 19th of July.
Exactly.
19th of July. It's tattooed onto the inside of my eyelids. But yeah, Paul Ricard is an F1 circuit. And so, yeah, they're riding on a non-calendar circuit on a non-factory bike.
So,
yeah, okay.
They're going to ride on a car track, you're saying?
Yes.
It's just a non-MotoGP track. They just don't use it in the MotoGP calendar at the moment. They could race a MotoGP race there.
Because I'm just going back to, is it safe then? Because obviously the way the safety crash things.
It's a great track. It's got loads of runoff. It's got that much runoff. I think it's one of the boring circuits around. Actually, it's that bit in Circuit of the Americas where there's the chicanes that are just painted on the floor, but it's actually like miles and miles of runoff. Half of Paul Ricard is like that. It's quite boring. I actually don't like playing that.
I was going to say, is it harder as a spectator because you're not as close, or is it just purely?
I would say so. I haven't actually been there, but I dare say it would be because there's loads and loads of runoff, and it's you're miles away from the action.
Look, Paul Ricard.
Good French food.
Paul Ricard was a classic circuit in the World Championship, very classic.
Yep. And
then it was bought by the Formula One, and it's basically a Formula One test track now. Yes, if you have time, you go back and see some Grand Prix in Paul Ricard, you will see that there was
the original layout.
There was a straight that it was long, like a year long.
It was like a runway.
Incredible.
Yeah,
a year long straight. I love the sound of that.
Ducati obviously did well there because they prefer those kind of tracks. Is that correct?
They didn't race there.
They wouldn't.
It was before they appeared there. Before.
Okay. I was trying to show that I'd learned something in our conversations there. There was something about...
That's good.
That's a good segue to the next team, Andrew.
Oh my God.
Who could the next team be?
Who could it be? We have Ducati.
Ducati, many speculation, no? Stu, about Ducati, Lorenzo returning.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Again.
I don't see it. I don't see it. But after what happened with Petrucci, it's Stu who has to say what's going to happen there.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I know everything. But no, I'm sticking with what we know. Miller and Dovi is where it will be at.
Dovi's only got 7 days, I think, before his contract is due to be re-signed. They've got to sign before middle of the year. Is that correct, Manuel?
Yes. Look, I read that Paul Espargaró is also talking to Ducati. This is all bullshit. Yeah. It's all bullshit. I hate this.
Yeah. Journalists, you can't trust them.
Exactly. In that same interview that Paolo Ciabatti did that we were talking about, where he was talking about Marc Marquez, at the end of that one, he gave a little dig as well and said it's not true that Dovi's thinking of quitting. So he kind of put that one to rest.
Do they kind of, the minute someone signs their contract, is it bang, it's out there and everyone knows about it? Or is it slowly normally happens?
It's normally a pretty big media event when a rider has confirmed, yeah. Okay. But realistically, by the time you get a signature on a piece of paper, everyone's known that the move is happening for a couple of months anyway. Yeah.
Well, that's where I'm interested to see how this plays out, because it seems like there's a bit of bull stuff and rumors, and I'm very curious to see.
You got to remember that Ducati did a pretty good sledge job on Dovi last week with the Ducati's going to be the best that you can get, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Don't bother even talking to KTM because you're not going to be good enough to get a result there. You're too old. We're your best chance.
Yeah, so don't bother looking elsewhere.
Was it actually from them?
Yes.
Yeah, that was from the boss.
Yeah, it's a bit rich. But as Manuel kept saying, Ducati don't need any help.
I still, how can I say? Look, Chavati said that Dovizioso is not thinking in retiring. This is absolutely not true.
Right.
I know this from super first hand. I'm not saying that it's happening, but I'm saying that Dovizioso has thought about it. Dovizioso has said last weekend that he's fed up with the politics inside Ducati, how the things are run. But at the end, and he says also that if I continue, the only place where I will be in Ducati. So we can say that he will be a Ducati rider. The contract, if it's 1 year or two, we will see. I don't know.
The poor riders, they must hate some of this stuff. They just want to ride.
Yeah.
They just want to ride, but if depending on how much they get, they just want to ride in one place or another.
Depends how fast they'll ride. Yeah.
Speaking, and I was going to say, you go, Stu.
I was going to say, I haven't seen Dovi at any of the tests or anything like that. He's been pretty quiet, apart from his one outing in online gaming. But Ducati were at the Misano test. They had obviously their test rider Piero, and Zakko with the satellite team was there.
Which would
go Jack Miller.
I was going, go Jack. Which would only leave one team. Who could it be, Andrea? Who could be the remaining team? Who won the team championship last year?
I don't know. I wasn't watching it, hey. I don't know.
I wasn't watching. At that point, I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't actually. Anyway, moving on.
My life hadn't begun yet.
I know. Who would think your life would begin at 43? I mean, 42.
Did you just give away a year?
It's my birthday next week, so
wow!
You're the same age as Jack Miller's number. There's got to be something in that.
See, it's a sign. It's a sign. Yeah. All right, we've spoken about this. Is there anything new, Manuel, with Alex and?
No, we are waiting. We are waiting about the story. Look, I sent a front cover of an Italian magazine I write on to Alex's manager, right? This front cover said, Honda, are you sure? Meaning if they were sure of firing Alex. And the answer was so politically correct. And the answer of the manager said, we will see what's best for Honda and for Alex. So the manager of Alex says, we will see what's better for Honda and for Alex. So, but at the end, what we have explained here, the Marquez didn't know what was going on. It has been a surprise, although it's a better situation for Alex than the one he will face this year. And we will see what happens. In Honda, everything, in my opinion, is settled. Paul will arrive. Alex will move, and then we will see what happens.
I can't wait to see what happens with.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's going to be absolutely. They're going to be absolutely fuel on the fire once that gets.
There's going to be a hard barrier between the two sides of the.
And my mate Mark Killer Instinct might get stronger, and he might be like all of you and just go harder.
That's what he thrives on. Yeah, he's going to be pulling 15, 20, 30-second winning margins. Just a huge, massive. Screw you to the rest of the
I think that the guy who will be more interested will be Marquez at the test in Jerez immediately. No, not this year, next year, because Marquez want to know immediately how challenging Paul will be on the same bike than him.
Yep.
And he will get this immediately, by looking on the data, not only on the tracks, on the lap times, but how he rides the bike. I think Mark
he'll want to follow him around for a bit, won't he?
It's going to be Thailand and Quadraro all over again.
Yeah.
Paul's not really a threat for him, though, is he?
Paul.
For Marquez?
Yeah, absolutely.
He shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
really?
He shouldn't, but
I know
this
he was a kid, but I thought now they'd kind of...
look, if we look into the past, they will be a threat.
Okay.
I'd encourage the listeners to go back to episode 13 and have a listen to what we ran through there.
There was quite a bit of discussion. Yep. Anyway, that's all the teams, David. Back to you.
That's you talk about a year-long straights at Paul Ricard. That's a year-long podcast recording of going through every one of the teams from a team championship. I think we'll end it there, ladies and gentlemen. That's it's got to be one of the most definitive wrap-ups you'll get for the 2021 season so far. As I said, not a lot of rumour, not a lot of speculation. High on fact and high on the Pecino goodness. There's been some revelations there, especially from the Suzuki garage. I'll be putting those in as audio quotes and sending those straight to X-Star Suzuki to make sure that
Thank you, David. You are a friend.
Stu, thank you so much for your time this week. As I said, once again, putting something clean on for us. We can leave you alone for another 6.5 days now to see what colour that those pajamas turn.
It'll be the same.
Yes.
It'll be the same set of pajamas this time next week. There may be some tomato stains down the front of it or something like that, but it'll be basically the same thing. And I just want to say before we go, by the time this podcast is released, it's going to be the weekend. And I'd just like to remind everyone, I know this podcast is purely about MotoGP, but guess what, folks? It's less than a week until F1 is back. So we've got motorsport within a week. So it's good news.
And even I might dial in and watch some F1.
I know. It's going to be great.
And I won't.
Yeah.
I was just going to say...
You are from my team. You are of my team, yes.
I'm with you, Manuel.
Maximum we watch the start. That is about 10 seconds, then we can go away because nothing happens.
It's like watching...
Because it just turns into tactics.
It's like watching the space shuttle take off.
Exactly. Very good example. Very good example.
The beginning and the end are exciting. The bit in the middle, who cares?
No one wants to watch the bit in the middle. Andrew, thank you so much for running us through the teams for what we believe to be the 2021. There's obviously a lot of work there. Some great research that you've done there. Fantastic to see you pushing the master in some of his knowledge and some of his depth.
Nice.
So this is what this podcast is all about. I said it's developing the clear mind and turning you into the next MotoGP master.
Did you say innocent mind?
That's it.
Thank you.
Got the wrong person there, Dave.
Manuel, thank you so much, mate. We'll see you next week. Is there anything new on the PecinoGP.com website?
Well, I have been uploading stuff. I don't remember. I recommend everybody have a look there.
Are you sure it's even your website?
And I am finishing an incredible story with John Hopkins.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, look, John is like a normal person, and saying normal in racing is very strange.
Yeah,
but
it's very not normal.
Yeah, and he had a huge accident,
massive
in Brands Hatch. He just ran into the wall, and for 6 months he was on a wheelchair, and now he's back. So the story is amazing. It's amazing.
Nice.
He's a bit of a changed individual, isn't he? I've listened to a few conversations with him. I've read a lot more as well, and it said there's a very definite change in Hopper's tone. He's a lot more focused. He's a lot more introspective. It said there's a lot more depth in John. That's what I'd say, what I'm picking up out of him. So, yeah, I'll definitely look forward to reading that one. Look, ladies and gentlemen, you said get over to PecinoGP.com, but I'd also want to push you over to, if you are looking at this podcast on Apple Podcast, please leave us a review. It does make a difference. That is going to pop us up in those ratings. We're on the socials. Check us out in the show notes. We do get mail and we do reply. So, yeah, for those who have sent stuff to us, we do read it and we do reply and we do appreciate your content. And on that,
keep it coming.
And you never know, you may get an entire episode again as our good listener friend keeps writing to us to correct himself. So your thoughts and your words are appreciated. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sign off there and we'll catch you next week. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See ya. Stay upright.